Hey YouTubers, it's your friendly neighborhood Captain Endman. How are you all doing today on this lovely day? After a fantastic critical and financial debut this June, Wonder Woman, daughter of Hippolyta, will now return to face the Asgardian god of thunder and the son of Odin, Thor. These two are arguably some of the most powerful characters in their respective universes, and a battle between these two certainly means a lot of destruction, but a whole lot of awesomeness. Now here's how this video is gonna work. First, I'm gonna reveal their histories to you from the movies, so everything that we have learned so far in the movies, that is all where I'm gonna take into account to give you their histories and their backstories. Second, I will list all of their superpowers and everything that they can bring into this battle. Third, I'm gonna reveal the score and the results for who you guys voted for, who you think would win between Thor and Wonder Woman. And lastly, I'm gonna pick the person who I think would win, and I'm gonna argue why I think that. Without further ado, let's first get into Wonder Woman's backstory. She thought she was created from a mold of clay and then brought to life by Zeus, but we actually learn, and she learns that she's actually the daughter of Zeus, so Zeus is actually her father. Dinah Prince has always lived on Themyscira until Steve Trevor lands on her island and tells her about a giant war raging in the outside world, World War One. She then goes with Steve in the mission of killing Ares, the god of war, and thus ending the war. Now let's talk about Thor's backstory. He's the son of Odin and Frigga. He was always going to be a successor to Odin, but because of his excessive pride and arrogance and hunger for fighting, Odin, his father, strips him of his power and banishes him to Earth, aka Midgard, to learn humility. So that is their quick backstory from the movies, but now playtime's over. It's time. Let's talk about their powers and abilities because that is what they can't wait to demonstrate in this fight. Let's first talk about Wonder Woman and her abilities. She has super strength and super speed. There are a few scenes in the movie where she demonstrates this, like for example when she lifts and throws a freaking tank, like a freaking tank, and when she takes on Ares, the god of war. She also has gauntlets that can deflect bullets and energy blasts, but can also be used to project energy like a shock wave. Her armor and her shield are both indestructible, and she has the lasso of truth, which, as clearly as the name suggests, can compel the person tied to reveal the truth. Now that sounds pretty harmless, but oh my god, mistake not. The lasso of truth can also be used as an offensive weapon. She also has the God Killer sword, which, as the name suggests, is a sword that is meant to kill the gods with. She also has super stamina, durability, and a rapid healing factor. And lastly, she can also fly-ish. It's very unclear on that because in the movie Wonder Woman, she does fly on one instance, but in Batman v Superman, she just leaped far distances in the fight against Doomsday. So maybe she can fly in the future movies, but as of now, she can only leap far distances, as we've seen her do against Ares and Doomsday in Batman v Superman. Now let's talk about Thor, the god of thunder. Like Wonder Woman, he too has super strength and super speed, and he's demonstrated this a few times in the movies when he crushes Iron Man's gauntlets. But most importantly, in the same movie, the best example of him demonstrating his strength is when he takes on the green monster himself, the Hulk, on the helicarrier. Like he was able to stand his own against the Hulk without his hammer. This clearly shows just how powerful and strong he is. His most famous weapon, his hammer, which is pronounced Mjolnir, not Mjolnir or Meow Meow, is actually pronounced Mjolnir. The hammer gives him the abilities to deflect bullets, energy blasts, to fly, to travel at light speeds, and the best thing is, only he can enjoy the services that the hammer provides because only he can lift the hammer because he is worthy.
You're all not worthy.
Well, of course, until Vision also lifted his hammer in Avengers Age of Ultron. The hammer also gives him the ability to control weather elements like lightning, rain, and can let him summon tornadoes as he did in the first Thor movie against the Destroyer. The hammer can also be used on the offensive to rip through basically anything, like armies like the Frost Giants, Ultron bots, Chitauri, etc. Thor also has this warrior's madness thing, which is the super adrenaline state where he basically gets 10 times the power he already has. Thor also has super healing, super stamina, and durability, same as Wonder Woman. You know how I made a big deal about him fighting the Hulk without his hammer and the helicarrier? Well, think about this. He was able to stand his own against Malekith, who was infused with the ether, which is a freaking infinity stone, the most powerful thing in the universe. So let that sink in for a second. Just take your time. Thor fought Malekith, who was infused with the Infinity Stone, the most powerful thing in the universe, and he was able to beat Malekith. Like, that just shows just how powerful this guy is. So those are all the powers and abilities that these characters would bring to the fight. Now before I reveal who I think would win, I'm gonna give the results for who you guys voted for. 57% of you, so 12 people out of 21 people chose Wonder Woman in this fight, while 9 people, around 43% of you, chose Thor. Now I'm gonna give you guys my opinion who I think would win in this fight between these two demigods. And I'm gonna be honest, at first I was leaning towards one person, then I was like, no, I think the other person would win. So yeah, I went back and forth a few times actually. It took a long time to choose a winner, but finally I've chosen one victor. That person, by a slight margin, is going to be Wonder Woman. And now here are my reasons why. Number one, Thor relies a lot on his hammer. As I talked about in the power section, I talked a lot about the hammer, which means the hammer is the one that gives Thor most of his abilities, while Wonder Woman mostly relies on her own speed and strength, which means by removing the hammer out of the equation, she can have a little bit easier time in beating Thor. Now, of course, doing that is easier said than done. However, the hammer has been shown to be deflected mid-air as Kurse did to Thor in Thor the Dark World. He freaking deflected Thor's hammer, which means that Wonder Woman could use her strength to do the same to his hammer when he calls for it, so it is possible that she might also be able to deflect his hammer. She could maybe try to lift the hammer because maybe she might be worthy because she's a really good person after all. Or she could just completely destroy the hammer and just shatter it as we see Hela do in the Thor Ragnarok trailers. So she could either deflect the hammer when he throws at her or when he calls for help, or she can lift the hammer, or last but not least, she can just destroy the hammer. And all those things might be a bit possible in this fight is because, like Thor, she's also a god and a very good person, and she's very strong. So she does basically match all the criteria and the personalities that Thor has, which means she can remove the hammer out of the equation. Now, for argument's sake, let's say that Wonder Woman can't lift or destroy his hammer. There are still ways where she can beat him even though he has his hammer. If he summons a lightning strike against her, she can simply absorb them as she does in the movie Wonder Woman with her gauntlets. If he tries to use his hammer on her, she can simply block it with her shield, which is supposed to be indestructible like Captain America's shield, which by the way Thor failed to break in the first Avengers movie. The only way Thor can beat Wonder Woman is if he goes in his warrior madness state. However, that also tires him very quickly, which means after a point, he can be easily taken down. Another advantage that she has is that her weapons are forged by the gods themselves, which means they can probably take down Thor and they can probably cut through his armor. So overall, I think she can probably beat Thor because he relies more on his hammer while she relies more on her strength and her skill. So guys, thank you for watching my video between Thor versus Wonder Woman. It was really fun making this video and I was super fanboying the whole time. So please like, please subscribe and stay spicy.